Now, there isn't one cure-all. There's not one way in which to solve this problem, because there isn't one problem. There's a number of different problems, all contributing to the failure of customer experience management. And at Jericho, we've identified 10 broad categories that cover all of these different areas of failure. Number 5, maturity. Now, this isn't meant to be a slur on the emotional maturity of the organisation. That's not the intention in any way. When we talk about maturity, what we're really talking about is the readiness of the organisation to partake in customer experience activity. The analogy I often use is to say, you want to race? Okay, fine, but how close to the starting line are you? Because there are some organisations that aren't even close to even starting customer experience, let alone delivering great customer experience. So there are certain fundamental building blocks that the organisation has to have in place, acting as a foundation for successful customer experience management implementation. And there are a number of different models that can be used to measure the strength of these building blocks. One of the models that we use is called the 7S model, and it looks at 7 different areas: strategy, shared values, skills, structure of the organisation, systems, staff, and the style, the leadership style of the organisation. And unless those building blocks, unless those 7 areas are up to the requisite standard of maturity, then any customer experience initiative that is being built on top of those is highly likely to fail. Number 6, CET versus CEM. Now, there's very little differentiation, there's very little talk about the difference between transformation and management, not even in customer experience circles. Often these two terms will be used interchangeably, and that causes an enormous problem. Clearly, if you want to improve a customer experience, you want to improve customer experiences overall, first of all, you have to change the experience before you can then manage that experience on an ongoing basis. However, there are many instances where these two terms are being used interchangeably, and therefore organizations will leap straight into customer experience management without thinking about whether or what they need to do to improve the experience. The practitioners, or the experts, so to speak, haven't made it easy either. Customer experience consultants typically focus on the transformation side of things, where a lot of solutions providers will focus on the management side of customer experience management. Now, if I was a senior executive within an organization and I realized that my organization had a problem with customer experience management, I would go away and I'd do a bit of research. I might not have the answers immediately as to how we improve customer experience. So I'd go away and I'd do some research and I'd find out that there were some solutions providers and there were some consultancies. Now, which one am I going to choose? Now, if I was the executive, I wouldn't blame them for going straight to the solutions provider. And the reason why is because after a solution has been implemented, you have a tool, you have something tangible that people can see, something that can be used post-implementation. Whereas from the consultancy perspective, a lot of people have experiences, especially from the big 6 consultancies, of somebody coming along and delivering a PowerPoint presentation or delivering some kind of ill-conceived initiative that eventually ends up failing. And therefore, those big consultancies have left the smaller boutique consultancies with a bad reputation, but typically the smaller boutique consultancies are very good at actually driving transformation forward. So at Jericho, we advocate the differentiation between customer experience transformation and customer experience management. Number 7, CX done as a systems or IT implementation. Now, systems implementations can be really good, can be really positive for customer experience. They can deliver good experiences. However, as mentioned in the previous section, solutions are more about management than they are about transformation, and therefore they don't necessarily focus on the change element as much as they need to. At Jericho, we've had relationships with a number of different solutions providers over the years, and there's a couple of examples I'd like to throw at you that might demonstrate the issue of customer experiences and implementation and why that can cause problems. One company that we worked with had a senior manager, a senior executive within the organization who was responsible for customer experience. And they were of the view that consultancy was a waste of time and space. It was a bit wishy-washy. Anything that could be done through consultancy could be done through a solution. And we said to that executive, okay, but what about strategy, and what about culture, and what about transformation? Those things can't be handled by a solution. This executive turned around and said, well, yes, they can, because transformation, for example, when you implement a solution, you're putting processes in place, and those processes might replace the need to undertake transformation. And then they went on to say, and from a cultural perspective, if you give frontline teams a tool that will help them to do their job on a day-to-day basis, they will be happy. And if they're happy, then that's like improving company culture. And we think that's a very simplistic view of the world. There may be elements of truth in what that senior executive said, but it's far too simplistic to be believed, to be perfectly honest. The other IT company that we worked with really saw the benefit of bundling consultancy in with the IT sale. But the challenge that the salespeople had was that because they were selling consultancy and IT together, they were trying to bundle it together. And they were an IT company, so their principal focus was on the solution. That when they went through the door to speak to the customer and they said, look, we've got this great solution, we've got this great consultancy, the client would turn around and say, yeah, we really like the consultancy and we really like the solution, but if you're trying to sell us the solution now, you should have been trying to sell us the consultancy work 12 to 18 months ago, because the consultancy work is all about the strategy. It's about, you know, how do we plan this, what should we do, and how should we do it. Whereas the solution is more, it's the tool, it's the implementation to turn that strategic vision into a reality. And therefore there can be a bit of a complexity, because the sales cycles and consultancy and solutions are completely and utterly different. So fundamentally, something strategic like customer experience management shouldn't really be in the hands of IT type people, because they are more they're more IT focused, they're more about selling the solution, whereas CX should really be in the hands of commercially minded people who have the customer at the center of what they do. So in summary, there are instances where customer experience transformation and management are being undertaken poorly, and in that case it's a waste of an organization's time. But it doesn't have to be that way.